In your book, your commentary about a loss of a citizens' army is especially germane to what's happening now with Syria. It's easier now to go to war, is one of the points you make. And as now we think about Syria, how do those two come together?
Well, I'd back up from Syria a little bit, and I think I'd want to tell a story that begins really back at the end of the Vietnam War, a war that divided the country, a war that in many respects shattered the United States military. And part of the response to that war was that the American people decided to jettison the long-standing tradition of the citizen soldier. Richard Nixon endorsed that when he ended the draft and declared the creation of an all-volunteer force. And for some considerable period of time, this seemed like a smart move, a good thing for the country. Let citizens off the hook also gave us highly capable and well-trained and well-disciplined soldiers. What only became evident after the Cold War ended, however, was that this new professional army really was no longer America's army. It was Washington's army. And Washington began to do with the army.
As in Washington, D.C.
As in Washington, D.C. And Washington began to do with that army whatever they wanted, regardless of whether the people had signed up to the enterprise. And this greater penchant for war, I think, really reached its zenith after 9/11 with President George W. Bush's decision to invade Iraq, as so many people have said, a country totally uninvolved in 9/11. And this was the ultimate testing time for this great professional army of ours. And I'm sorry to say, it failed the test. We were supposed to win quickly, economically, easily. We didn't win. And instead we ended up with a protracted war, part of a series of post-9/11 wars, where bringing us to where we are today, where Syria may well be yet another one of these wars, waged by Washington with its army, while the people are left sitting on the sidelines.
And making no real sacrifice. Was it 1% of our citizens?
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's sort of the inverse of the complaint of the Occupy movement. You know, the Occupy movement said there's the 1% of the rich people who are screwing the 99%. When it comes to basic military policy, we have the 99% screwing the 1%. And it's the 1% who get sent off to fight these endless wars.
So it's going to be easier then to have another one and another one. We haven't even... It seems to me we haven't even looked at ourselves regarding the wars that we've had.
That's
nobody.
That's one of the most troubling aspects of this whole thing. It staggers me that the American people have so quickly put the Iraq War in the rearview mirror. Indeed, won't even look in the rearview mirror.